Only an entrepreneur can actually understand the loneliness of being a founder. अब लोग कहते हैं I'm successful, but I don't feel successful. अभी काफी काम बाकी है. You have to make your own destiny. Work 6 days a week, every week. Half the weeks I work Sunday also. Leadership दिहाड़ी पे नहीं होती. And it's a competitive market. You have to do more with less. पैसे नहीं है आपके पास, फिर भी अचीव करना है. You work extra hard है.
तो कभी ऐसा कोई टाइम आया जब किसी की इतनी हिम्मत हुई हो कि संजीव बिखचंदानी को किसी ने किसी फॉर्म ऑफ रिजेक्शन दिया हो? कुछ तो बात होगी शख्सियत में, लोग यूं ही नहीं किसी को महान बोलते हैं, नहीं होती ज़रूरत उनको किसी परिचय की, ज़माने में जिनके काम बोलते हैं। नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, मैं कृष्णांक एंड आज हम जिनसे मिलने वाले हैं, ही इज़ द बिग बी ऑफ इंडियन स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम, द फाउंडर ऑफ giants like naukri.com and jeevansathi.com. He has went on to invest in more than 100 startups, two of which have been public recently. One of them is Zomato, and of course, Policybazaar. So without any further delay, let's welcome the man, Padma Shri awardee, Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for calling me.
Thank you so much for inviting us, sir. It's our privilege कि आपने हमको इस लायक समझा कि आप अपनी ज़िंदगी का थोड़ा वक्त हमको दे रहे हैं.
नहीं, thank you for coming.
तो थोड़ा सा हम जानने चाहेंगे, ये जो जगह है ये बहुत खूबसूरत है और लग रहा है कि बहुत प्यार से और बहुत शिद्दत से बनाई गई है. तो क्या स्टोरी है इस जगह के पीछे?
2015 में हमने यहाँ शिफ्ट किया है.
जी.
तो उस समय बेसमेंट में मैं ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल नहीं कर रहा था. तो पहले 5 साल तो कुछ नहीं किया.
जी.
उसके बाद जब कोविड का लॉकडाउन हुआ तो आई बिगैन टू यूज दिस 16-18 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
So that is when I ordered bookshelves and I opened up the old cartons and I put the books in the bookshelves.
Okay.
Because I was shut here for several months
जी.
During COVID lockdown.
Okay.
And I used to work from here.
Okay. So कुछ जो पहली बुक्स आपने पिक करी होंगी, कुछ थॉट था उनके पीछे क्यों वो रखी आपने?
Actually all these are mostly old books, but they were like packed up.
अच्छा.
तो bookshelves बाद में bookshelves अभी 2020 से मैंने यहाँ लगाए हैं.
जी.
But books are over the decades.
Okay. Wonderful.
So whatever one is interested in, whatever one required, and these are not just my books; these are my children's books also. And
Okay.
because they went to college, they had books. The books that they bought when growing up. सब यहाँ पे है.
Any book that you've gone through more than once?
In terms of fiction, a writer whom I admire a lot is the late John le Carré.
Okay.
He wrote a lot on espionage and spy, but it's really his trilogy around George Smiley and Carla, and during the Cold War, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Honorable Schoolboy and Smiley's People. Those 3 books I have read them repeatedly. I find John le Carré's style very, very engaging.
Okay.
More importantly, every time I read one of those 3 books, I discover something new which I missed out the previous time.
Oh,
so that either makes me a very bad reader or it makes him such a good writer that it is multi-layered. Okay. And you missed out something first time, second time, third time, fourth time read it, you got it. So I like that. And everything is this jigsaw puzzle that fits together perfectly and it's fairly intricate that you learn something new each time.
Correct. जब मैं सबसे पहले यहाँ आया तो what I noticed कि there's a lot of pen and paper stuff on this table जो आप यूज़ करते हैं.
जी.
And हिस्ट्री में हमेशा क्या हुआ है कि पहले हम नॉलेज वर्बली ट्रांसफर करते थे. दैट इज़ वाई लोग ब्राह्मण्स को ट्रीट करते थे बिकॉज उनके पास वो वर्बल नॉलेज जनरेशन बाय जनरेशन कन्वे होती थी. फिर हम आई थिंक किसी और तरह से लिखने लगे, फिर पेन पेपर पे अब डिजिटल पे आ रहे हैं. सो इज देयर समथिंग स्पेशल अबाउट पेपर, पेन, बुक्स?
सी in 1984 मैं कॉलेज से निकला.
जी.
मैं 3 साल काम किया बिफोर माई MBA.
जी.
ठीक है. वो 3 साल में मैं एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी में था इन लिंटैस.
जी.
And I was in client servicing as a trainee first, then as a junior executive. One of my very early bosses, a lady called Ritu Sethi,
जी.
she told me, your most important instrument and weapon that you have is a writing pad and a pen. The company issues a writing pad and a pen to everybody. It has to be part of your uniform. You have to wear it everywhere. You have to take it everywhere. In every meeting, you will take notes. You will write minutes of the meeting.
Right.
You will make a written job list, which you'll review with me at 9:30 every morning.
Right.
Then you'll review with me at 1 o'clock कि भाई इसमें क्या क्या मूव हुआ, कैसे मूव हुआ और क्या नया आया. And at 5:30 we'll review it again. And every day we'll do this. And if I see you coming to a meeting without the writing pad and the pen, I'll throw you out
Oh.
and make you leave the room and come back with it. So she got me organized. And you know, the value of writing everything down, I learned then. So even now, I do not make my calendar
अच्छा, हम डायरी पे मार्क करते हैं.
because the company gave us a diary and a writing pad. And every month, whenever the writing pad will always replace it, and the diary you kept for a year. So even now, so आज मैंने आपका लिखा है यहाँ पे.
That's very kind of you.
So I think writing helps you document, you don't forget. See, advertising was the kind of job, the job I was doing, दिन में 50 चीजें करनी होती हैं, all different.
जी.
And if you didn't write it down, you'd forget
जी.
a few things. And that would be a problem. So I got more methodical, systematic, organized. As a consequence of that, I learned the value of writing.
Wonderful. Amazing to learn, sir.
So while I do use a laptop, I do use a mobile,
जी.
I still see value in paper and pen.
अंडरस्टूड. मैं शायद आपसे 30-32 साल छोटा हूँगा और मेरी भी सेम आदत है, बट इट हैज़ जस्ट चेंज टू अ नोट पैड. इसमें भी हम सेम तरह से करते हैं, बट हाँ, दिस वैल्यू ऑफ अ पेन इज ऑलवेज देयर. आप कुछ बना सकते हो, आपके हाथ से लिखा और टाइप करे में, आई थिंक दैट
फर्क है.
वो फर्क है.
So the most important course that I did at IIM Ahmedabad, 35 साल हो गए, 36 साल हो गए since I graduated. In hindsight, the single most important course was a course called WAC, Written Analysis and Communication.
ओके.
उसमें, through the year, it was a 1-year-long course, across 3 terms. You had to, they gave you a case study, 10 case studies. So thus, you had to do a written analysis of that case
ओके.
in a prescribed format,
जी.
maximum 1,000 words, and submit it in your own handwriting. Right?
अमेजिंग.
So handwritten assignment जाती थी, and the deadline was sacrosanct, and the word limit was sacrosanct,
ओके.
and the format was sacrosanct.
ओके.
So there again, it is the written, the act of writing actually disciplines your mind. I worked as a journalist for 3-4 years part-time in the Pioneer newspaper. I was the consulting editor for the career supplement. This is 96 to 2000.
ओके.
So I was basically doing a second job in the afternoons to supplement, because the company couldn't pay me a salary. I had to get some money from somewhere.
जी.
And that's where I also learned to write.
Okay.
Because very often you'll write 800 words in 45 minutes. Okay, and
Correct.
Those who are journalists, those who have been journalists, I learned the rigor of writing, a lot of it, in these 2-3 experiences of mine. In the Pioneer, at IIM Ahmedabad, and in my first job.
अमेजिंग. मेरा जो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है, आई एम नॉट श्योर ये ज़्यादा फिलोसफिकल है या ज़्यादा लाइटर है. सो आई वुड वांट टू आस्क यू द सिमिलैरिटी और डिफरेंस बिटवीन फाइंडिंग अ जॉब वर्सेस फाइंडिंग अ जीवन साथी.
देखिए, you can switch jobs. It's much harder to switch a जीवन साथी. So for getting married, the stakes are higher. So you should be more careful. आप नौकरी छोड़ सकते हो.
करेक्ट.
स्पाउस छोड़ना मुश्किल है.
करेक्ट. सो फंडामेंटल चेक पॉइंट्स क्या होने चाहिए?
I have not gone through a rational analysis, but I think basically you should, first of all, chemistry should be right. Intuitively, you should feel okay, in the company or with the person you want to marry.
जी.
And then I guess over time you learn.
फेयर इनफ. तो कभी ऐसा कोई टाइम आया जब किसी की इतनी हिम्मत हुई हो कि संजीव बिखचंदानी को किसी ने जॉब इंटरव्यू या कहीं पे किसी फॉर्म ऑफ रिजेक्शन दिया हो जिंदगी में?
So I remember passing out of college.
Okay.
दो तीन कंपनियां आई थी. It was not a lot of companies who come to Delhi University to hire in the early mid 80s. I think 5-6 कंपनियां आई थी. मैंने 2-3 अप्लाई किया था. I interviewed at 2 places. I got 1 job. But the other job is a very good company. The reason why I didn't get it was my own, I think, stupidity and foolishness. I had said I want to be in finance.
Okay.
My tech career.
अच्छा.
Okay, I had studied economics. I thought economics finance are related. It'll be relevant.
जी.
But clearly, you have to be a CA or a BCom to do finance, and so they rejected me. So that was my. I should have still said sales or marketing. I might have got it.
Right. But everything's probably happened for a reason.
I mean, वो कह सकते हैं बाद में, but
उस time पे तो
उस time पे तो- and then I was glad I got this job. I'm
Okay.
actually quite happy I got the job I did, and I worked there for 3 years at Lintes.
Got
It was a really great training ground. I think as a crucible for a young manager or a trainee,
जी.
it was really good. I learned a lot there.
अंडरस्टूड. एक चीज़ जो मुझे एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के बाद समझ आई, शायद आप इसे अग्री करें या नहीं, कि जॉब रिजेक्शन वर्सेस नॉट बीइंग अ मैच को लोग सही से शायद नहीं लेते हैं. मतलब लोग जैसे जब बहुत ट्राई कर रहे होते हैं ना जॉब्स के लिए, तो उनको लगता है कि अरे मैं 6 जगह रिजेक्ट हो गया. जब मैं एंटरप्रेन्योर बना तो मुझे, जब मैं किसी को मना करता था तो मैं ये बोलता था मैच नहीं हो रही हैं चीज़ें. तो क्या इसमें कुछ मेरिट है थॉट में, या गलत बोल रहा
I think it's important for you as an employer
हूँ? जी.
to be considerate towards those who applied to you and you are saying no to. And do it therefore politely, and do it by giving enough time and feedback.
Okay. And another thing that I felt was, after not being successful in 2 startups that I did, कि is it something कि not everyone should aspire to be an entrepreneur? इसका एक follow up भी है कि हो सकता है personality traits ऐसे होते हों कि for somebody it is good to probably build a career or do a job versus somebody to build a business.
See, I believe there's an entrepreneur inside everybody.
Okay.
I believe there's a manager inside everybody.
Okay.
I believe there's a leader inside everybody.
Okay.
And I believe there's a follower inside everybody.
Okay.
ठीक है?
Okay.
So to be a good leader, you have to first learn to be a good follower.
Okay.
पहले कुछ साल आप you'll be at the bottom of the organization. You'll be learning. Slowly, you'll get into leadership situations and positions
Okay.
where you'll demonstrate leadership, or you have the option to demonstrate leadership. At the end of the day, an entrepreneur is also a manager.
Correct.
And a manager who shows initiative and leadership is also an entrepreneur. Right? The difference is that a manager very often is not risking his life or his entire future
Correct.
in one bet or one decision.
Correct.
An entrepreneur might be. Because अब आपने कितने साल की दो स्टार्टअप?
Sir, 7 साल.
7 साल की? What happened at the end of 7 years? Both companies, they did not work.
No, so first was a successful exit. Second वाले में we were not able to sort of get that profitability, viability नहीं लग रही थी कि शायद और पैसा भी लगा के वो achieve होती.
And how long were you doing that one, the second one?
5 years.
5 साल ना?
जी.
तो 5 साल में one way to look at it is that I wasted 5 years. ना सैलरी मिली,
जी.
ना वैल्यूएशन मिली, ना एग्जिट मिला.
Correct.
The other way to look at it is, look, I learned so much. Now, I'm willing to bet that 5 years was a great learning experience.
100%.
So because struggling and maybe even failing
जी.
perhaps teaches you more than succeeding.
100%.
So I'm willing to bet, and I don't know what business you did for those 5 years, but I'm willing to bet that whatever experience you had in those 5 years helps you
जी.
while talking to founders and assessing them, evaluating them, and perhaps even advising them.
100%.
Because you have seen failure, you have seen struggle, you have seen the lack of success
Correct.
as an entrepreneur. Now, see, only an entrepreneur can actually understand the loneliness of being a founder. The apprehension, the apprehension and fears that a founder has.
Right.
Having been a founder, you're probably more empathetic
100%.
with other founders,
100%.
and they probably accept advice from you slightly better because they know that you've been through the journey.
Correct.
Right? जो आप बीती है आपकी, वो आप ही को समझ आता है.
100%.
And therefore, I think you have gained a lot from those 5 years,
बिल्कुल.
even though you didn't make money and didn't build a big company,
बिल्कुल.
in your current role,
100%.
where you're
I
working
agree.
with other founders.
जी. Better
So
person,
it
better
makes you uniquely positioned
Hmm.
for other founders to talk to you, to relate to you, where you advise them well, you're more empathetic, they possibly open up more with you.
ये तो
They
बिल्कुल
don't
सही
feel
बोला
judged.
आपने। जी, 100%।
So we have also seen that when we meet startups, that look, they don't feel judged as much as with perhaps others. We have been founders ourselves.
Understood. So having achieved so much, sir, in your life, do you feel कि certain things are destined, or you feel selected for a purpose, or how has it been for you?
So first of all, you see, अब लोग कहते हैं I'm successful, but I don't feel successful. You know, I feel it's
जी,
still a process, right? अभी काफी कम बाकी है, and work is never ending. Is it destiny? I believe that I have been lucky and I'm grateful.
okay,
But you have to make your own destiny. And I always tell people that look, I have been lucky. I worked hard. We've been smart. We had a great team, great people working, and a lot of the success was because of the others in the company, not because of me. And the team is really good. But I've also been lucky. And I was saying this at a place. I was giving a talk in a company. It was a multinational company. I was talking to the management team, and
Okay.
when I said I've been lucky, the CEO came in and he interjected. He says, "Okay, let's talk about luck." And he was telling the team.
अच्छा,
He says, "Luck is about being at the right place at the right time. But if you are in enough places, enough times, sooner or later you'll be at the right place at the right time." Which basically means keep trying. Persistence, resilience, don't give up. Keep trying.
fair enough. अब जब आपको इतना एक्सपीरियंस हो गया, आपने इतने फाउंडर्स को देख लिया है, so when you evaluate startups, how much time do you personally take to sort of build a conviction for it? Then
So देखिए, अब तो टीम है.
जी,
Okay, the team 10-15 लोग हैं. They assess about 1,000 startups a quarter. Now, assess means doesn't mean always meet.
right,
It means look at the product offering, go through secondary research, websites, databases, decks, meet a few hundred,
right.
and then we invest in 2 or 3 in a quarter.
तो जब आपसे मीटिंग होती होगी, से
So,
सपोज सबने
so, so
एनालाइज,
I don't meet as many as I used to,
अच्छा, ओके,
because but I meet a filtered lot. But by now we have got a method of operating.
एंड डज मेथड एंड इंस्टिंक्ट गो हैंड इन हैंड, या फिर नहीं
So
ऐसा?
the method has evolved from instinct. It's because instinct told me that Zomato, which then was called Foodie, is onto something. Because I like it, my friends like it, तो कुछ तो है इसमें.
राइट,
Then you look at all the other, restaurant listing sites and you say इसमें फर्क ये है, इसमें सारे menu card हैं. Then I met Deepinder for the first time. I asked him, ये menu card आया कहाँ, idea कहाँ से आया? He told me a story of how in his office in Bain Consulting he put together 50-80 menu cards and put them on his personal page, office intranet. All the traffic came there.
करेक्ट,
So that's when the penny dropped. That customer को menu card पसंद है.
जी,
And that's when he did a site where all the menu cards. बाकी sites में menu cards नहीं थे. So he had that customer insight because of his experience in his office.
करेक्ट,
Now, instinct. Now, what is instinctive about this for me? 97 when we launched Naukri, I had based it on an observation that all my colleagues and friends used to read Business India magazine from the back. Because in Business India magazine, there were 35 to 40 pages of appointment ads at the back in those days.
करेक्ट,
So लोग हमेशा appointment पहले देखते थे.
Correct.
Whether or not they're looking for a job.
करेक्ट,
And that's when I realized that jobs, if you aggregate all the jobs, traffic आई. I did that. We did that. 97, traffic आई. And Deepinder got a similar insight. So instinct told me ये similar insight है. He's got an insight.
करेक्ट,
Right? Now, this has got coded into our method. So we asked people idea कहाँ से आया.
अच्छा, ठीक है,
Then if the idea is based on a customer insight and observation, does it have natural traction? So this has become part of our method. So simple observations, years of doing it, practice, it hones your instinct, it becomes method.
अंडरस्टूड, अमेजिंगली एक्सप्लेन सर. और एक और चीज़ है कि इन्वेस्टर फाउंडर हो या एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉई हो या मैनेजर या सबऑर्डिनेट हो, ट्रस्ट एक बहुत ऐसी चीज़ होती है विच सब लोग नहीं समझते. प्रोफेशनल ट्रस्ट शायद लोग पर्सनल लाइफ में वो बिल्ड कर लेते हैं विद फ्रेंड्स, माता पिता एंड एवरीबॉडी. प्रोफेशनल ट्रस्ट कैसे बिल्ड होता है और क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है?
Look, trust is between people.
Okay.
Okay? Now, in a family, it's usually easier, it's hard coded. You will help your brother.
Correct.
Your parents will help you.
Correct.
When your parents get old, you will help them.
Correct.
It is hard coded. It is expected. And when somebody doesn't do that, then there's angst. You know, the son did not look after the parents in their old age.
Okay.
They had trust. I mean, it was expected and believed that you do that.
जी.
ठीक है, ठीक है. In organizations and companies, it's part of your role. It's part of the culture in a good organization that you will trust each other, you will work together, you will collaborate, it will be a team. Now, within that, different people are different. Some are more trustworthy than others. Some don't conform to the expectation. But if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, as a manager, in an organization, as a leader, you've got to have high trust levels, which means you must trust people and people must trust you. So that's when they work with you. That's when they will give you information. That's when they'll support you and they'll expect your support in return. So to succeed in your career as a founder, entrepreneur, employee manager, whatever, you have to have a great ability to create trust across the table with your colleagues, with your superiors, with your team, with your peers, with other departments, with investors, with customers, with shareholders,
Correct.
whoever you deal with. People must believe that you are trustworthy. It will make for better collaboration relationship, and that's when you will achieve more.
जी.
Because individual achievement बहुत कम होती है.
करेक्ट. सर कई बार बट ये देखा है कि एक पर्सन ए है और पर्सन बी है, राइट. पर्सन ए इज एक्सेप्शनल एट वर्क, राइट. तो पहला ये लगता है कि यार इस पे ट्रस्ट जाना चाहिए. मैं प्रोफेशनल उसकी बात कर रहा हूँ. हो सकता है पर्सन बी बहुत अच्छा इंसान है और ये थोड़ा कम है, मतलब इन टर्म्स ऑफ हिज मे बी इंटेग्रिटी और समथिंग एल्स. तो यहाँ पे इज दिस मोर अ पर्सनल ट्रेट या
It's very hard to pigeonhole people. He's this and he's that, right? Even the person who's not so good at his work maybe after some training, after some practice, will become good. Maybe he's not good at this, he'll become good at that.
ओके.
Maybe he will stay for 20 years in the company, that guy will stay for 2 years.
जी. करेक्ट.
Right? You don't know.
बिग डिफरेंस.
Yeah. Right? Maybe this guy is a genius but is a solo performer. But the role requires him to collaborate. That's a problem.
करेक्ट.
So, हर एक सिचुएशन अलग होती है,
बिल्कुल.
हर एक व्यक्ति अलग होता है.
Correct.
Maybe he needs training in collaboration.
राइट.
He needs training in technical skills.
आप दोनों बोलो, दोनों किसी ना किसी तरह की ट्रेनिंग तो चाहिए ही. करेक्ट. सो बोथ ऑफ देम नीड दैट डेवलपमेंट टू हैव दैट लेवल ऑफ ट्रस्ट. फेयर इनफ. एंड फॉर यू हाउ इजी और टफ हैज इट बीन टू मेक फ्रेंड्स, बिकॉज यू ग्रोन सो मच. आपके साथ जैसे जैसे फेम आता है, मनी आता है, डज इट गेट लोनलियर विद टाइम और हाउ हैज इट बीन?
I wouldn't say I'm lonely.
ओके.
I've got friends, I've got colleagues,
ओके.
and I've got old friends, and I've also got new friends.
ओके.
Okay, I mean, I've got colleagues and co-founders of Ashoka University who are now friends. But I didn't know them 40 years ago. I didn't know them even 30 years ago. I didn't know them 25 years ago.
Okay.
I got to know them 15 years ago. And over time, we got closer. I think I've got old friends from school, from college, from business school, my earlier jobs.
राइट.
So yeah, you make friends as you go along.
Understood. And has there any been way younger than you जो शायद फ्रेंड भी और मे बी आपको इंस्पायर भी करते हैं?
So I think the key is to learn from everyone,
ओके.
right? I don't have any role models in life,
ओके.
but I have 50, 100, 200 people I've learned from
ओके.
something.
ओके.
So it could be schoolmates, it could be school teachers, could be family, could be college mates, college teachers, could be business school. You learn a lot from your colleagues. So in my 5 years of working in two large companies, I learned so much. My first job, I learned so much. First 3 years after college. Basically, I was working with very smart people
Okay.
who were older and more experienced than me. And if you keep your eyes and ears open and while you work, you learn a lot. Whether it's people skills, whether it's communication, strategy, getting organized, or simply working really hard, work ethic, you're fine.
Understood. And what are your thoughts on Gen Z's multiple aspect में, say how they behave, how they dress in office, how they think of growth?
देखो, the workplace is evolving.
जी,
The work ethic itself is evolving.
right.
I think as parts of India become more prosperous, right? Young people have different expectations in the workplace and their careers and the outcomes. And now, when I finished college and I got into a job, I was grateful to have a job because there weren't too many other jobs I could get. It's not as
Correct.
if there were 50 options.
It was an achievement for many of us.
Yeah, and I said, I'm so grateful I got a job.
Okay.
And there's no question of leaving the job.
Okay.
And I used to work, I used to reach office at 9, work till 8, 9 p.m. 12
Okay.
घंटे दिन के. It's a 5-day week officially, but I would do that 6 days a week.
Okay.
So in the first 3 years, I didn't take a single day's leave. I worked 6 days a week every week. And half the weeks I worked Sunday also.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because my time was out of my control. My अगर काम करना था. It's not as if and nobody was forcing me to do it. It was just that I wanted to do it. Right now, I'm told that kind of behavior is rare these days.
Very rare.
Okay, but there are people who will view this as an opportunity. That if I put in the extra effort, I'll do better. देखिए, अगर आपको लीडर बनना है, बिजनेस लीडर, एंटरप्रेन्योर, व्हाटएवर, I'm not talking about politics. अगर आपको लीडर बनना है, तो you got to understand a few concepts. Number one, there is a entitlement mindset, and there's an achievement mindset.
Okay.
Right? If you have an achievement mindset, then you will do what it takes yourself, without being told,
Correct.
to achieve a certain outcome. Then you take ownership. Right? You may not do that if you have an entitlement mindset. Okay, I draw the line here. Companies pay me so much money, इतने घंटे के लिए. But understand one thing, leadership दिहाड़ी पे नहीं होती.
सही बात है, बिल्कुल.
Leadership comes with taking ownership.
Correct.
Okay, leadership per piece rate से नहीं होती. Leadership प्रति घंटा नहीं होती.
बिल्कुल.
तो अगर आपको लीडर बनना है, and leadership immediately नहीं होती. It takes years, decades maybe, to become a leader. Or you have to keep at it. So now, I think, however, there's freedom of choice. आपको वो नहीं करना है, it's okay. आपको करना है, you're welcome to do it.
So you'll outshine the rest. It's an
But
opportunity.
if in an organization that's competitive, in a market that's competitive, in a situation that's competitive, and when you're doing a startup, as a founder, right? So I'm willing to bet you guys, in the 7 years that you did a startup, or 6 years, I don't know how many years, you mentioned 7 साल ना?
हाँ जी.
7 साल में, I'm willing to bet you work 24/7. And if not working 24/7, you are thinking 24/7.
100%.
You are obsessed by your business.
बिल्कुल.
The company owned you. And if you didn't have that kind of commitment, you're not going to succeed anyway. And it's a competitive market. And you have to do more with less. पैसे नहीं है आपके पास, फिर भी achieve करना है. You work extra hard.
Agreed, sir. एंड ये आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली कि लीडरशिप प्रति घंटे नहीं चलती, राइट? अब सपोज आप एक एम्प्लॉयर हैं और हर तरह के लोग आपके साथ काम करते हैं, बट कंपनी को नियम बनाने पड़ते हैं कि 9 आवर्स, 8.5 घंटे.
See, officially, no company can have a 12-hour day. Right? Official working hours will be 9 to 5.
Correct.
9:30, 5:30, whatever.
Correct.
Right? 5 days a week, officially.
Correct.
Right? However, in a high achievement organization, the high achievement culture, the expectation will be that at least, I'm not talking about blue collar. I'm not talking about manufacturing blue collar.
Right.
Where there's factory and factory rules.
Right.
And I'm talking about people who are responsible for outcomes, very often intangible outcomes. They, in a high achievement culture, they will often do what it takes. and they'll be expected to. And it's very often unwritten rule.
Exactly.
So 9 to 5 hai, no problem. But I want this done by tomorrow morning. So do it from 9 to 5. But usually that job will take 12, 14 hours
Correct.
in a high achieving organization. But you're still expected to do it. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's a natural thing and it happens.
सर तो जो वो पर्सन है चाहे वो एम्प्लॉई है बट ही हैज़ अ लीडर माइंडसेट जैसे आपने बोला तो उसको भी तो बुरा लग सकता है कि जो पंच इन पंच आउट सिस्टम्स हैं मतलब आई थिंक मेजोरिटी ऑफ कंपनीज करती हैं कि भाई ना अगर आप ये नहीं करोगे तो अटेंडेंस रेगुलराइज कराओ अप्रूवल के लिए भेजो तो इस पे क्या कहना है मैं एज एन एम्प्लॉय पूछ रहा हूँ
See,
आपसे
as companies grow larger, these systems are put in, and very often they're impersonal. You will actually vibe with your immediate team.
राइट
You will socialize with them.
जी
You will work with them in office.
जी.
You will have lunch with them.
करेक्ट
And your culture therefore will be formed in your connects with your immediate team. So somebody may join a company for brand, but they will stay glued to the company if the culture with the immediate team is good,
हाँ बिल्कुल करेक्ट
right? And that's true in every organization. Now, in smaller companies, smaller teams, you need not have a punch in punch out system because it's a small team. You can figure it out. So it depends on the situation. A punch in punch out boss, that's a problem, and that's of the culture of large companies. And then, but if you become large and you want to work for a large company, that's unnecessary evil.
you have to
You have to comply.
but of course you can find ways to create exceptions
The point is HR policies are same across the company for everybody, and they're decided centrally.
correct
You may not even know the person who decided this policy. But as companies grow larger, that's life.
ओके सर अंडरस्टूड सो जो हमारा लास्ट सेगमेंट है दिस इज और द लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई शुड से दिस इज फ्रॉम द थॉट कि आप ने हमेशा बहुत आगे का इमेजिन कर पाए हैं लाइक व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड विद योर फर्स्ट बिजनेस इंटरनेट ही इतना पॉपुलर नहीं था राइट सो वी मूव्ड फ्रॉम से इंटरनेट टू ई कॉम टू क्विक कॉम टू AI इज देयर समथिंग जो आप इमेजिन करवाना चाहेंगे 2035 2040 के लिए एनी थॉट
मैं आपको बताऊं 84 में मैंने काम करना चालू किया अब 41 साल हो गए हैं more than 40 years.
राइट
At 21, if you had asked me what will the Indian business environment or the corporate sector environment be like when you're 60, right? I'm 61 now. So I could not have imagined this or told you anything, right? I would have said something, yeah, private sector will grow. That's what I would have told you. That's what I knew. That's what I felt. मुझे याद है, in my IIM Calcutta interview after college, I was asked, as an economics student, what's your view on the growth strategy of the Indian economy? What should it be? So I said the private sector will be engine of growth. I said, why? I said, because the public sector is not capital efficient. India is short of capital. Simple logic, right? As a 21-year-old, that's what I felt. But beyond that, I could not have predicted this.
ओके
Okay? Now, if you look at what's happened in the last 40 years, 41 years, there's been huge growth. A lot of the growth has been led by the private sector. A lot of the growth has been led by service industry. So, जब मैं कॉलेज में था, हमने इंडियन इकोनॉमी पढ़ी थी, तो उस समय the services sector was, I think, 20-23%, if I'm not wrong, of the GDP. Manufacturing was bigger. Today, services is 60%.
करेक्ट
Okay?
करेक्ट
Much bigger than manufacturing, much bigger than agriculture.
Correct.
I could not have predicted that. Right? I could not have predicted new economic policy. But आप देखेंगे जो भी substantial growth आया है in employment, in investment, in buzz, has all been in new companies and new industries that did not even exist in those days.
बिल्कुल
84.
करेक्ट
Mobile telephony did not exist.
करेक्ट
Internet did not exist.
करेक्ट
Private sector telecom players did not exist.
Right.
Private sector insurance companies did not exist. Private sector airlines did not exist. Organized retail did not exist. E-commerce did not exist. Quick commerce did not exist. Uh, you know, a national network of food delivery did not exist.
Right.
Right? And these are all new companies, new industries. Very often done by first generation entrepreneurs doing startups. Infosys, HCL were startups in '84. They are giant companies today. They have built the India brand overseas. They have made engineering the most popular and important undergrad study
Correct.
subject.
जी.
All of middle class India wants their uh, children to become engineers.
Correct. Who maybe wanted to be. Yeah.
Abhi bhi,
हाँ, a lot. Correct.
right? Why? Because these companies grew and they offered careers and they offered H-1B visas in the US and there was people were taking bank loans, pledging their family gold and land to pay the fee of the private engineering college so that their son could go and get a job and then, right?
Correct.
All of this is done by companies that were startups in '84. So, and they're giant companies today. Look at the market cap. Look at the employment. Look at the industry they've created.
Correct.
Right? So the impact of startups has been huge over 40 years. It's just that now, in hindsight, we recognize it. So I think India's startups are going to be central to India's growth strategy.
100%.
और जो giant companies कल की होंगी, at least some of them will be startups of today.
बिल्कुल. आज सोच रहे होंगे maybe.
Okay.
बहुत
Therefore, I
early.
see this. And the other thing that's happened is, so India was always an entrepreneurial country.
Correct.
Even licensed promoter, it was entrepreneurial. It's just that the entrepreneurs of those days were usually entrepreneurs by inheritance, by a certain caste or community.
Correct.
There was this huge cadre of middle class India where the families, the main breadwinner was in a salaried job, very often government or defense or railways or private or nationalized bank, nationalized insurance, or academics.
Correct.
इस cadre के लोग would produce children, would bring up children who are really good at studies. And these are the children who cleared all the entrance exams and went into the engineering colleges and the business schools. And they were schooled and trained by their parents and they were conditioned कि study hard, clear the entrance exam,
Correct.
get a good job.
सपना ही वो दिखाया गया.
Okay, exactly. सपना भी दिखाएगा.
Yes.
Expectation वही थी.
Yes.
And your peers in school and your teachers and your siblings and your parents. Right. It was a whole movement in this direction. And India produced a few 100 million people in the middle class who were conditioned to be risk averse and take up jobs and study hard and be good at academics. Right? Son, you have nothing to inherit. If you don't study hard, you know, nothing will become of you.
Correct.
So, पढ़ाई करो. I am willing to bet as a child of a government servant, that is your conditioning.
बिल्कुल 100%.
And all your friends are there.
जी.
Okay. Now, what has changed now is people like you and millions of people like you
जी.
are aspiring to do startups.
Correct.
Okay? And startups are making a difference. So your smartest people were going into jobs earlier. Now, some of the smartest people are trying to do startups. And that's the difference. So, India में ये बदला है. तो एक बदलाव ये आया है. Second is the availability of risk capital. अभी 40 साल पहले, there's a middle class boy trying to start a chain of fast food restaurants with somebody giving money. Are you crazy? No chance.
Correct.
You know, you have to come from money
Correct.
to do business.
Correct.
So risk capital.
जी.
I think technology, as IT tech is coming, and India's built this hundreds of millions of engineers, maybe, well, I don't know hundreds of millions, but millions of engineers, tens of millions, right? I think regulation, the new economic policy, and subsequent regulation. I think Startup India last 10 years,
Correct.
9 years. I think organizations like TIE and others, which mentoring. I think role models and success stories in the past who can guide you.
Correct.
I think all these things have contributed to the new entrepreneurial environment of India. तो एक नया entrepreneur आया
Correct.
who would otherwise have been in a job
Correct.
30 years ago.
Correct.
Somebody from the same socio-economic background
Correct.
and same capability.
Correct.
तो ये जो नए entrepreneur हैं are the ones who frequently get venture capital funding.
Correct.
And they then have the ability and means to actually build something big.
Correct.
So I think that is a great force for change in India, positive change.
Correct.
And I think they will make a difference, a huge difference in the next couple of decades.
Amazingly explained, sir. So why I asked this and why I wanted to end with this is कि जब मैं आया तो मैंने देखा कि वहाँ पे हाथी मेरे साथी का there's a painting there. तो I'm sure आप नहीं देखते होंगे इंटरनेट पे, बट अब क्या हो रहा है ना कि मोहम्मद रफ़ी की आवाज़ में नए गाने AI से बन रहे हैं, किशोर कुमार सर की आवाज़ में AI से बन रहे हैं. और मैं आपसे क्या इमेजिन कराना चाहता था कि इमेजिन संजीव सर आज की डेट पे मैंने डाउनलोड ले लिया वट एवर एक्सपीरियंस यू हैव, मे बी आई गिव यू 1 month प्रोग्राम कि आई विल टेक अ डाउनलोड ऑफ हाउ यू थिंक, हाउ यू परसीव एंड ऑल दो स्टफ, एंड देन कैन वी कीप दिस पर्सनैलिटी ऑफ मिस्टर संजीव बिखचंदानी अलाइव इटर्नली through AI? Is this something जो हो सकता है? नहीं
Yeah,
हो
I'm sure it's technically possible, but I'm not sure it's a good thing.
अच्छा,
You know, I mean, you need to be authentic. So that's not really me, right? So ये वो make believer will be.
करेक्ट
ठीक है, आपने ये हाथी मेरे साथी के पोस्टर की बात की,
जी,
तो this was gifted to me by a friend.
ओके,
A friend who was an old schoolmate was also on our board recently, and you see, I have often been asked, when did you and how did you want to be an entrepreneur? तो मैं कहानी सुनाता हूँ.
ठीक है,
कि बस so I used to be a daydreamer. We are all daydreamers यार. हम सबके सपने होते हैं.
बिल्कुल,
ठीक है. So and my so my best daydreaming was in the school bus, stare out of the window, daydreaming.
ठीक है,
ठीक है.
जी,
तो when I saw Sunil Gavaskar bat for the first time, well, I wanted to be a cricketer.
ओके,
But very quickly I realized I can't be that good.
राइट,
Okay, so it's plus उस जमाने में to make a career out of a sport was frowned upon by people from our background. नहीं, तो पढ़ाई करेगा तो आईटी आएगा.
बिल्कुल,
ठीक है, ठीक है.
करेक्ट,
Then I saw Rajesh Khanna for the first time in चाणक्य सिनेमा. तो अभी तो चाणक्य सिनेमा नया नया आया था.
अच्छा,
अब तो मॉल है, उस समय सिनेमा था. और अभी सिनेमा भी है, but that was earlier to the old cinema.
ठीक है,
So, and we used to live in Chanakapuri, government flats. So, walked across and I saw Hathi Mere Sathi for the first time. I mean, I saw Hathi Mere Sathi, right? And now, उस ज़माने में तो nobody had TVs at home.
करेक्ट,
And films were not considered to be a good influence. Okay? And therefore, we were allowed to see a film once a month or once in 2 months. Right? So we went across, friend and I, and to Chanakya Cinema and sat in there and Hathi Mere Sathi.
ठीक है,
I came away all starry-eyed. So बड़ा होके राजेश खन्ना बनूंगा. So, but then in 1975 or 76, मैं 12 साल का था, 13 साल का था. So उसमें ये कुछ magazines नई नई आई थी, Business India, India Today. In one of those magazines, I read about J.R.D. Tata.
अच्छा,
Okay, and the Tata Group.
ठीक है,
And I said, maybe I should start a business. Maybe I should found a company sometime in my life. So that's when I first got the idea. तो मैं ये कहानी सुनाता हूँ. So this friend of mine saw this poster available on eBay.
अच्छा,
And he ordered it and he brought it to India. He lives in the US. And,
okay,
and he gave it to me. So I framed
अच्छा,
in.
तो यूएस से खरीद के यहाँ लाई भी?
But actually, the seller
Hmm.
was in Morocco.
Oh,
So if you go close to that poster, you will read
Okay.
a lot of words in French.
okay.
Morocco is, French speaking. So Hindi movies go everywhere.
अच्छा,
And even now, they go everywhere. So this Hathi Mere Sathi was screened in Morocco in Moroccan cinema
in
also.
French.
The poster is some of it is in French.
Okay.
So that's the trivia there. Why that poster is here. So I framed it and put it up.
Interesting. sir.
This is a movie that inspired me to, for a short while, say I'll be a film star.
I'll be a film star like Rajesh Khanna.
उस समय मैं था 9 साल का, तो by 10 years ago, I gave it up. उसके बाद मैं सुनील गावस्कर,
एंड इनफैक्ट आपने वो स्टैचर अचीव भी करा है सबकॉन्शियसली. देखिए, मुझे नहीं पता था और मुझे आपके लिए टाइटल पिक करना था, विच आई पिक्ड द बिग बी ऑफ.
That's because my surname is Bikhchandani.
मैंने भी वही से पिक करा. पर देखिए ना आप, कोरिलेशन बिटवीन अ सबकॉन्शियस ड्रीम जो आपके पास था और जो शायद मेरे को हिट करके आया.
No, but I think it's important to have sources of inspiration. Okay, whether there are people you know or people you don't know,
Right.
or there are whatever, something you read about, someone you read about, or you just watch on YouTube. But because it's your inspirations that keep you going.
अमेजिंग सर. मतलब इतनी अच्छी कन्वर्सेशन और जो थॉट प्रोसेस आपसे मुझे डाउनलोड मिला है, आई एम रियली थैंकफुल फॉर दिस. एंड आपने इस लायक भी समझा कि आपने टाइम दिया.
नहीं, you guys are doing a good job.
It's very kind of you, sir. We just have a small token of respect for you.
These are your sponsors?
Yeah, these are.
Okay, nice.